Rolling.
Hi Frisco, this is Brad. You guys know each other? Alright, so that's cool. We got that out of the way. This is new, so make sure you're kissing the screen where this is located before we get to the technique.
Bro.
Alright, thank you for that. Alright, that being said, we're going to get to the thing you wanted and you asked for. I hope it finds you well. Thank you for being my first YouTube subscriber. See you, good work today. You want the whole Monoplata, is like it's kind of referred to in the jiu-jitsu community. I just think of it as like an inverted omoplata, or an omoplata from the top. You want all the entries for it, but I think you need to learn the finish first, because the entries honestly don't matter if you can't get the finish. So it's kind of the reverse to some of the techniques. We need to work on the finish first. So if you go on your back, head here, feet over here. All right, so the principles are, I'm gonna have Kristen, hopefully you can hear me through this mask. I'm gonna have Kristen move around so you can see where the targets are. It's very important you put your weight in specific areas. Okay, so screw how we get here. We just end up here, okay? We just end up here, okay? We'll work on the entries later, maybe, okay? I want to be on my hip. Their forearm is in my hip tight. Take it easy, guys. Okay, I'm here on my elbow, and when I finish, I kind of extend out, so all my weight is on my hip. My left femur needs to be underneath his elbow joint, here. Okay, so it's not underneath the tricep. The femur is underneath the elbow joint. My other femur, okay, it's not just on top of him, it's on top of the shoulder, and it's kicked through as much as possible, so it takes all the slack between my hamstring and his head. Not here, okay, on top of that shoulder joint, okay? My legs are kind of bent in typical omoplata fashion, so bent at the knees, okay? To finish this, a couple things. I extend outward, so my weight goes through my hip. You okay? My weight goes through my hip, okay? If I'm on my elbow, the weight's not in the hip. I extend out so the weight goes through the hip. I pinch my knees, okay? My left knee goes up, applying pressure to the elbow joint, and my right knee goes down, applying pressure to the shoulder joint, okay? So your hip, down, left leg up, right leg down, okay? It's all three versions of that. Now, you can do it without the weight in your hip. You just squeeze, okay? But if they're more flexible, you need as much movement as possible. Take it easy, guys. Okay? So you extend out. When you extend out in like what I call like the GQ pose or whatever, okay? The more relaxed, the better, because that'll put your weight in your hip, and that'll amplify this, okay? If that's still not working, it means you're probably screwing something up. Your femur is probably not under the elbow joint. Your right femur is probably not right over that shoulder joint, cupping the neck as tightly as you can, and you probably don't have their forearm in your hip, right? Any omoplata, you want that forearm up against your hip. Okay, I'm kind of doing a crunch in when I'm doing this. So if I'm out here, he can just pull his arm out, right? So it's a thank you. He did that very tentatively. I'm crunching in so that forearm can't leave my hip. Okay, you got that? So that's the basic mechanic. Crunch, so the forearm can't leave. Hip dropping. Knee up at the elbow joint. Knee down at the shoulder joint. Okay? Now it's the knees that are moving, but what's applying pressure are my femurs. Okay, because it's the femur that's at the shoulder joint and the femur at the elbow joint. Okay, it's not the knees, but the knees are what are doing the moving. So try that first. If that doesn't work, if you do all of that correctly, let's assume you're doing all of that correctly, then we make an adjustment. And that adjustment is my legs. So you get my legs as well, my feet, Kristen?
They're all in there.
Okay, switch over, okay? And then this comes over the head, okay? I do this after I do the other version, okay? People argue about this online, and then it's stupid, okay? I do this version second for a couple of reasons. Well, let's get there first. I bring it over, 1, Okay, and you be kind of mean about it if they're fighting you. So 1, scrape the face, and 2, scrape the face. Okay, and I try and hook underneath the neck. You okay?
Yep.
I try and hook the neck. Okay, and then this one's a little bit different. Instead of extending out, I extend out and kind of scoop my hip. Okay, and I scoop my hip, kind of like this. I'm still extending out, but at the same time I scoop. Okay, so it's different than this version where it's very linear, up and down. I extend, so my hip is still dropping, but I scoop a little bit. Okay? Okay. The reason I do that 1 second is because often a lot of our entries to this, he has the option to sit up. So if you go for this one first, there's a bigger gap where he can sit up. Go ahead and sit up, Brad. Boom. And I'm still in a great spot, right? Like Monoplata here all day. But I don't want him to sit up because I'm on top. And I'm gonna take advantage of being on top. And you take advantage of that by whatever entry you get to, slamming this thigh down on the shoulder. Boom. Now try and get up. This is how you control the position. Okay, that's why I do this version first before bringing the legs over, is to control him. Okay, because it's very difficult to come from here where he has the opportunity to roll up, right, to this one. But you can always go from this one to this one. Okay, so watch this, hit the fucking like button, subscribe again, let me know how it works, and then we can go from there. But we can't move on from this until you make sure that this works. Cool? I'm gonna assume that the things you're messing up on are not having that forearm up against your hip enough, not crunching enough, and not having your targets. I'm assuming that's what you're messing up. I could be wrong though. Anyway, hope you do well. I'm sorry this year sucks, but I hope that listening to my voice like this really made your day. Bye.